So I went through another long box of comics to see what was in there from a collection I had picked up. Let's take a look at the keys I pulled out. Up next on this video from Bronzeville Comics. Hey there, panelologists. This is Jim from Bronzeville Comics coming to you with another video. Before we get started, do all that like, comment, subscribe stuff. You know what to do. Also follow us on the other socials, Instagram, Bronzeville_comics, Whatnot, Bronzeville_comics. We do sales every Monday night at 10 p.m. Eastern. And there is a link in the description. If you're not yet on Whatnot, you can sign up using it. You'll get $10 off your first purchase, whether or not that purchase is with me. There's also a link to my eBay store and my email. So the collection I picked up about 2 months ago, I've kind of had it sitting in long boxes, a few long boxes at the back end of the collection, sitting in the garage. What I thought were the least valuable of the long boxes, the ones that didn't have a lot of keys. So I did a previous video on one where there were a lot of Batman. There was one long box left, and I pulled it out of the garage. Let's take a look at what was in there. Okay, we're going to go through this last long box, and this has a lot of Superman stuff. There's still some Batman, and man, there's a lot of these extra copies. 501, a couple of copies of that. This dude, the original collector, picked up a ton of 500s. Both versions. And then, Detective 608. So again, I have to go through this, kind of see what the minor keys are. There aren't a lot in this run. The problem with the books here, as you can see from this long box, is they're plentiful. These books are easy to find. The one thing that you do want to keep an eye out for books from this era, the early 90s, are the multi-pack variants, the DC Universe logo. Interestingly, they had some of these Justice Society of America Alex Ross covers. Oh, nice Sandy Hawkins one. You know, it seems like this was the era where the original collector... This, I think, has always been an underappreciated Michael Turner cover. A Dream Girl, Black Canary, and Power Girl. Batman 673. I think they picked up the Batman subscription just a little too late for the keys. The biggest books from that era. So it looked like Batman Confidential and Justice Society, Superman, Teen Titans. Then Superman does even, well, kind of especially in these minor key there. Again, I'm looking to see if we see any of those multi-pack variants. It doesn't seem that way. It doesn't seem like this is how the original collector bought the books. Maybe they figured that they would be able to retire on these Death of Superman era books. But such was not going to be the case. Just let me get a little bit, I can do a bit better angle here. Yeah, I'm not seeing, there are some newsies, obviously. This is pretty cool. $6.89 in a newsstand. Action Comics. Guy Gardner, of course, Nathan Fillion is going to be playing him now, we've learned. Doesn't have that book. a couple of minor, or I should say a bunch of minor keys in here. But there's the Death of Superman. I don't think there's anything special about that. More Breaking of the Bat. They had a lot of those. This is, this I had seen the first time I went through it. This came from the subscription era. That's a nice copy. Needs a press. Batman 666. Might be an unpressable spine tick there. So I'm going to put that to the side just to preserve it a little bit better. That might be the best book in the box. Although, did they not? I mean, there are a lot of newsstands in here as well, which is kind of marginally cool, but the problem is, you know, newsstands, even from the early 90s here, don't really command significant value unless you're talking about keys and high-grade keys. Well, we'll see. We'll talk about that maybe in a minute. A lot of duplicates, and we're not finding. Love to see a Superboy 9, some foil. Yeah, this box is a lot of 90s Superman. And the Earth already has a lot of 90s Superman. And I'm kind of, Superboy, I'm kind of looking for DC Universe logos. But now, Rebirth stuff, boom, boom, like 8 of those. Oh, wait. And that's nothing. Green Lantern 46, newsstand, and then we don't continue. We don't have, I'm just gonna kind of flip, if I can get the angle correct here. We'll just kind of flip through here. Team Luthor. I'm kind of giving up on the idea of DC Universe logos. This one would be a nice one to have, but nope. A lot of Funeral for a Friend, which means that we're not really, that's newsstand, not bad. Newsstand, trade paperback, okay. This is third print, but you really want, you want these higher prints of Superman 75, second print, you at the very least want the newsstand. Okay, second Doomsday, Adventures. We still, I don't think I have the angle on this anymore. Hold on. There we go. Okay, so this is not bad, and this is first print newsstand. Okay, and that's only one of those. That's a pretty good one. That American flag cover. No, Batman Dark Knight Returns. Book 4. Justice League. That's not a bad book. Couple of those, some Ren and Stimpy. I don't know of any keys in Ren and Stimpy other than number 1. No, I didn't even notice this the first time through. And the lowest we're here is 5. Marvel Age, Ren and Stimpy. That's the back of the box. Rock and Roll Kiss. That might have a market. There might be some folks. Ren and Stimpy number 1. It is a direct, but that could have value if we can get it. There's 3 number 1s, so that's not terrible. Just 3. Yeah. Then we go to number 2. Number 2 is a newsstand. So that's it for that box. I'll break it down and take a closer look at the books and see what the best books are. So you see that I went through that kind of quickly. A ton of Superman stuff and a ton of stuff around the death and rebirth of Superman. Multiple copies of things, which isn't the most exciting thing to come across, to be honest with you. So I went through a little more carefully the particular books, and I had the Superman 75, The Death of Superman, in a 9.8, still is about $100 book. So I found a copy of the first printing and 2 copies of the second printing. And the main thing you could tell is the difference in the trade dress from those. And also the second printing has a Roman numeral 2 there. And then there were some that weren't quite 9.8 worthy, but they're still reasonably high grade. And you can see there a little bit different trade dress, a light blue instead of a white or yellow. And there is a Roman numeral 3 right there. So these are all going to be in my potential CGC pile. The other books, 2 other books, one related and one not, that will go into a 9.8 pre-screen, is this Man of Steel number 18, Superman the Man of Steel, the first appearance of Doomsday, and it is a newsstand edition. Now, there were a lot of printings of this, and unfortunately, this collection didn't have the subsequent printings because as the printings go on further, they are more valuable. I think there's a 4th printing newsstand, which is like crazy money. But still, the first printing newsstand is a pretty decent sized book. And then you saw there were a few copies of Ren and Stimpy Show number 1. This is pretty high grade. I think it's a 9.8 contender. I took it out of the poly bag. I took one other out of the poly bag and one I left in there. This has some non-color breaking spine ticks that I think will press out. So fingers crossed on that one. That's a nice, decent book in a 9.8. You can see most of the other stuff was, you know, there's so many multiples of this Man of Steel, which isn't unusual to find in collections of this vintage. That was a book a lot of people speculated on at the time, bought multiple copies of, much like Spider-Man 1, X-Men 1, Spawn 1. You see a lot of those. And this collection, you can see even this box had more copies of both Batman 500 and in Batman 497. 497 being Bane breaking Batman's back, and 500 just being an anniversary issue. One thing that was surprising to find in there, because it wasn't from this era, and it is a first printing, it's Batman The Dark Knight, issue number 4. You can see it has some spine creases there. So rather than that, the book is pretty good. So that's a nice, decent collectible copy. There were 2 more Ren and Stimpies. One I took out of the poly bag, and it didn't. It wasn't a 9.8 contender. And the other one you can actually see, like right there, kind of in line with The Amazing. You see that little white dot? That I don't think that would be a contender. So I'll sell it raw. And then this, also not a contender. There's some spine ticks on the back. But this was a book that went nuclear just a few months ago when James Gunn made the announcement about the new Batman project with Damian Wayne. This is Damian Wayne as an adult as Batman and Batman 666. So that is a key, but not a key that is going to be submitted to CGC. So this box was not the box that was really full of keys. As you could see, a lot of Funeral for a Friend, Death of Superman era stuff, and multiple copies at that. There was some just kind of random stuff. There were actually a few books I had to throw out because they had some water damage and they were getting a little moldy. So that is something you want to get rid of right away and check the books around them. The other books were okay, but this particular collection was dirty. And it's one of the things that kind of drives me crazy. People have collections in long boxes, but no lids. Where did the lids go? They sell them together. What did you do with your lids? That's a little pet peeve of mine. Have you ever had that experience? This seems to happen to me quite frequently, where I get long boxes with no lids. Short boxes without lids, it's a little bit easier to take. Like, I usually can retrofit a priority box and kind of tape it together and make a lid for a short box. But long boxes, you can't. It's just too long. So, anyway, let me know what you thought of that long box of comics. It was, not a bad one. There were some nice books in there. And a few keys and a lot of multiple issues. So anyway, let me know what you think about that. And this, you can take a look at a couple of my other videos here. And this is Jim saying until next time, enjoy your comics.